Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to the second episode of Come Together, a joint initiative of the European People's Party and its political foundation, the Wilfried Martin Centre for European Studies. With this new set of series, we aim at bringing together a researcher or an expert from the Martin Centre together with an EPP political advisor or a politician from the EPP family in order for them to discuss about a current topic of a common interest to you, our audience. To this end, we have brought together on one line the Greek Deputy Minister for Tourism connecting from Athens, Ms. Sofia Zacharaki. Hello, Sofia, and welcome. And on another line connecting from Brussels, Mr. Eoin Drea, Senior Research Officer from Martin Centre. Hello, Eoin, and welcome to you as well. Our two distinguished guests will discuss today about tourism as a driver of the post-pandemic recovery. In order to start off with the debate, I would like to kindly ask the Deputy Minister to draw us a picture about an industry sector that she's responsible for, namely for tourism in her beautiful country, Greece. Sofia, if you could please give us some numbers on how many employers does the tourism sector count in your country and how badly, because we know it was hard hit by the pandemic, but how badly really was and what are the effects of the pandemic?
Well, Sandra, again, I would like to thank you for this very kind invitation to discuss about a topic that is very close at heart to us here in Greece. And wherever we have had the opportunity and the immense pleasure to talk with our colleagues around Europe. And of course, I would like to thank everyone as well, who we're going to have a discussion, I think, very fruitful one. And of course, a big thank to the EPP and Wilfried Martin Center. We are given the chance to discuss, unfortunately, from a distance, but fortunately, discuss even with this online communication means on topics that we have dealt with throughout the pandemic, and now we face, of course, the aftermath of an economic crisis that has hit hard the economy here in Greece and, of course, the world in general. As regards tourism, you asked for numbers, Sandra, and unfortunately, there are many because I will try to compare numbers between 2019 and 2020. I remind everyone that will be kind enough to watch us today that 2019 has been a record year for Greece and for many other countries as regards tourism and hospitality sector. And again, try to give a little bit the first estimate and the first numbers given for the first 7 months of 2021, where we see a very satisfactory recovery as regards tourism here in Greece. So Greek tourism represents nearly 80% of our annual GDP. At the same time, tourism contributes to more than 16% of Greece's employed labor force. And of course, there are so many sectors overlapping with tourism. We see that these numbers might even be more than this, but this is the official percentage. Now, keeping this in mind, these two numbers, we can all understand and we can fully realize the importance of tourism for a national economy. Numbers on how hard it has been hit. Well, travel receipts in 2020 decreased by 76.7% compared to 2019. So it reached in income 4.28 billion euros against 18 billion euros in 2019. Arrivals down by 72.5% or 15.6 million arrivals between 2019 and 2020. The same went for road arrivals too, because I would like to remind you that it's a very critical point, especially for northern Greece, that the road arrivals are up to a satisfactory level. Unfortunately, down by 78.7% in 2020 compared to 2019. And of course, another major sector here in Greece, Sarah, which is the cruising business, cruise arrivals were down by 19.9% in 2020. I don't want to bore you more with numbers or tire you, but just let me give you a little bit what we see now in the first 7 months. We haven't had the last 2 months. We see a deep breath of relief from the people in the tourism and hospitality sector. We were able to recover 1/3 of the air passengers in June 2021. It was a slow start, but July and August have been really satisfactory. We were able to recover 2/3 of our air flights and air passengers in July, and almost the same number as 2019 in August 2021. And we see a momentum and a resilience in bookings and arrivals up to the first week of November 2021. So things are looking up, and Greece is making a recovery, making it a headline also in many international newspapers and magazines, making it one of the champions of this year's summer season.
Minister, if I could just ask you, you mentioned just just how important tourism is to the Greek economy, 16% of jobs. And I was just wondering, what steps have you undertaken in Athens to help this sector during the pandemic, because it literally is so important.
This was a very central and a very intrinsic part and element of the whole effort, because let me remind you, I'm sure you know, but I would like to remind our gracious people that are watching, our audience, that we were a government of fewer than 6 months when this happened, when the pandemic hit, and the potential and the perspective before the pandemic was really favorable for Greece. As far as the economic forecast and the economic climate was also estimated. But we acted immediately, and there was a solid strategy in order to deliver for the people. The unbeatable priority was keeping our people safe, ensuring public health, and of course, being able to, let's say, deploy a concrete and consistent strategy to serve the purpose above mentioned. Let's be very precise about what we did. We came up with the bravest and widest package of financial support to businesses and households in order to deal with the pandemic and its severe consequences. The total budget of the measures we took, when it actually rose up to 40.7 billion euro. And more than that, an extra 420 million euro, specifically in order to address the needs of the travel industry businesses in order to restart only this year. The measures consisted of specific tax relief measures, suspension of VAT payments, suspended business social security contributions, discount on installments of established tax debts, discount on VAT, which is still valid. This is a measure that was also announced, its extension at the State of the Union speech of the Prime Minister earlier this month. Public loans in forms of repayable advances. We ran 7 circles of repayable advances, and finally only 5 of them will not be returned at all to the state, and 2 of them will have very important reductions in the number of in the money that will be repaid by the businesses that received them. And of course, a program called Bridge 2, in order to safeguard businesses' access to liquidity. And of course, direct grants and public moratoria to cover the needs of employees whose contracts were suspended due to the pandemic, and direct grants to support employment. Apart from that, Eoin, we actually ran another program of 100 million euros here at the Ministry of Tourism in order to subsidize more than 400,000 people, and their families to buy tickets, visit hotels, and travel around Greece. This is a program of vouchers, which is called Tourism for All. And fortunately, because this year we saw that almost the total number of hotels opened, 90% of the hotels, while last year in 2020, only 60% of the hotels open, they were able to use their vouchers, and the use of vouchers has tripled. So we took this array of measures in order to safeguard that the businesses and their people, the employees, would be able to withstand, this severe attack.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think the government support for indigenous tourism operators and encouraging their own people to travel around their own country has been a huge success in many countries, and I think it's something I think that many governments will look at in a pared down shape in the years ahead. I just wanted really to talk about as well, because I think a real focus of Greece's application to the Commission, to the European Commission, in terms of the European Recovery Fund, has been really on kind of sustainability and, kind of making, and I suppose kind of making Greece more, ready to meet the challenges of climate change. I was just wondering, unfortunately, we had the terrible wildfires in Greece and in many other countries. Certainly, in my own country of Ireland, we had unbelievable storms and rains, very unusual for summer weather. So I was just wondering, like, what can we do, or what can EPP-led governments do to help tourism combat the challenge of climate change in the future?
Well, that is such an important question, and I think that it is also very important, important because of its urgency. We may have been dealing with the pandemic and its consequences, discussing about the measure and all, the package of measures we have undertaken in order to help the businesses move to the next, to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Still, we have to talk about a future that is green, it is blue, and it is digital. So these were the three pillars, the most important pillars that transverse the whole strategy as regards the plan that we have submitted as regards the RRF. And we call it the next generation. We call it here the next generation fund. We call it here the Greece O2 plan. I'm very proud to say that Greece was one of the first countries to submit its plan and one of the first countries to have the plan approved. What we have done was try to talk about the special interest tourism as regards in order to alleviate the pressure of over tourism in some areas, because we understand that the more we talk about the sea and sun, and the more we, of course, it's something that will never change, because when you think of Greece, you will immediately think about, the place where you want to hop on, the next island. Still, with the help of the RRF and the Sustainability Board and Council that we're going to be launching very soon in the next structural funds programming period too. So we're making use of both the channels, the funding channels. We're trying, first of all, to talk about an extension of the tourism season that will help alleviate the pressure on the destinations. And we're doing that by focusing on sea tourism, building new marinas, focus on remodeling wellness spas, ski centers that can run around the year, because we know very well that because of climate change, the snowfall, at least here in Greece, it has seriously reduced. So we want to make use of the ski centers in order to be used 12 months per year. Hiking trails, ecotourism is very big and is becoming even bigger after the pandemic. New strategy on diving and diving parks, accessible beaches for our guests, a new branding and marketing entity on gastronomy. And all of this, in order to be entitled to receive a grant or the billions of loans that will be given even through the RRF, it has to have the sustainability aspect very central to it. And alongside, we also have a very important strategy that is being compiled by the Ministry of Environment, and it will help subsidize the energy restructuring of our hotels in order to run on energy sufficient modus operandi, let's say, an operation. And Greece, of course, has seen one of the first models of an island that will become energy independent, solely dependent on renewable resources. It's called the Astypalia project. And for anyone who is now watching this, I would ask them to Google the Astypalia project, because it's going to be, I think, a best practice of an island that will work only on electric cars, and of course has a restructuring of its public buildings and then private buildings in order to look at the future, in a sustainable, green and digital way, because there is also a total and holistic project as regards this island.
Yeah, no, Minister, I think it's really, really interesting that you talked about, sustainability and over tourism, because I know that that's kind of concepts about extending the tourist season. And I have to say, it's not just an issue that's facing maybe, traditional sun destinations like Greece. I know that cities like Amsterdam and London are actively trying to spread it out and to make it more sustainable. But I think I suppose a last contribution from my side is that, as we move forward, I was just wondering, do you think that tourism patterns will kind of reestablish themselves, or do you think that there will be new patterns? Maybe, trips might become shorter, they might extend to October, November, or September, or do you think we will just go back to a pre-pandemic kind of norm?
This is also something that we are still assessing, but let's see some new tourist habits. You asked me about the tourist habits. Yes, something
Yes.
that we see new trends. Okay, let's see what we're viewing until now, and it has already been happening for 19 months. So it's a pattern that we see that it's slowly been established. First of all, the new tendency of making very last minute reservations, not just last minute reservations. And I think that this will also change the way that the platforms, the booking platforms, as well as the direct booking confirmation and the whole process of the hotels will now work. And of course, the travel agencies and the digitization is a very big thing too that is happening. It has also been more reinforced during the COVID period. So I think that this will also expedite a process that we have seen happening also in the last few years, solely depending making your reservation through your Instagram account or even through your social media, or finding or building your expectation to travel through your cell phone. See, this will definitely have to be incorporated in any strategy pertaining to anyone who would like to work with tourism as in hospitality sector. And of course, new tendencies that we have seen developing through the COVID period, and this is bringing people closer to nature. So this will also affect their tendency to visit more sparsely populated areas, closer to nature, as I said. Slow tourism seems to be a tendency that will be very prevalent. And what we also saw this year in Greece, and I would like also to see what will happen in 2022, is very high reservation numbers and percentages in luxury hotels, because the people who go to travel first, as Greece was one of the countries that delivered the message of reopening very soon. The Prime Minister, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, was the one introducing the idea of the digital COVID certificate in order to be able to expedite and harmonize as much as we can the processes of traveling, and being able to renew our protocols, the health protocols, early enough. So I think that we had a head start in receiving also the people that were ready to spend more. So we saw that 5-star hotels, 6-star hotels had a full capacity, or had a, like 85, 90% reservation and arrival percentage. So this is also a tendency that we would like to see. And another very recent takeaway from a study that was conducted was that younger population were eager to spend more in flights that are more, let's say, environmentally friendly, less carbon, let's say, footprint, and of course, spend more on hotels that are environmentally conscious as regards, the way that they were built, or the whole, the way that they deal with waste, the waste management process that they follow. So these are some tendencies that I see that we have to really continue to monitor, Mary.
Thank you very much, Minister Zacharaki. Thank you very much, Eoin. I would like to wish to Minister and to all your cabinet actually a very successful future, or as you said, it's green, blue and digital, but I have no doubt it will be that way with all the projects you mentioned, such as connecting the concept of sustainability to the post-COVID grants, also to the project that you exclusively mentioned in this interview as the pilot project about island that is self-sufficient on energy, and so on. Thank you again. Thank you to all our viewers. Stay connected, stay tuned, and we'll see you in the third episode of EPP Wilfried Martin Center Come Together. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you.